Howdy ho, guys and gals. We're back, and I gotta admit, I hate it as much as anybody else when I see somebody going looking for advice on buying a new tool, and some crusty, keyboard warrior comes out of the woodwork and goes, you're an idiot. You can buy these used for like pennies on the dollar, kind of stuff. But you and I both know that is, that's a thing of the past. All these great vintage tools that are worth their weight in gold. Well, people figured it out. They're now pricing them like they're gold. So you can't buy that used vise or that used table saw or any of those used American-made hand tools the way you used to be able to buy them for just, a buck here or a buck there. It just isn't like that. Except for these. For some reason, scroll saws are still relatively cheap. I don't know why, but I've been talking about this for years, and I just stumbled across another one. I just bought this one here for $10. Now, granted, it's a hobby size, but it's a made in the USA, mid-century. I think it's a 40s, 50s kind of model. I think it's the early 50s kind of thing. Made in Chicago, and solid aluminum construction. It's a 3-in-1 tool. Let me show you how this works. Again, I paid $10 for this at a garage sale just down the road. Then we're going to have a discussion about why scroll saws are still something I think that you probably don't have to buy new. So this, Atkins, Chicago, Illinois. We got a part number engraved in here. We paid $10 for this thing. It's an aluminum casting. It's darn near adorable is what it is. So let's see what it says right here. Atkins Industries, Inc. on Ravenswood Avenue, Chicago, 26 Illinois, USA, model 50, patent applied for. Use something volts. Anyway, it is, there you can see there's the little motor in there, and that is a sanding disc built into it. And it looks like it does. You can change different angles on it and all sorts of stuff. This table moves as well. Well, it's not the gutsiest machine out there. It's obviously a small crafting / hobby, tool. But it's a unique tool. They called it a 3-in-1, and for the life of me, I could not figure out why it was a 3-in-1 tool. I mean, clearly it's a scroll saw. Clearly there's a sanding attachment on the side. It doesn't have the biggest motor in the world, but it's there. But it turns out the third use is they say you can use it as a saber saw. For those of you who don't know what a saber saw is essentially an upside down jigsaw. It's the same as a scroll saw, except it's not attached at the top, and the blade is usually thicker and stouter, and not as used for as many, scroll style kind of cuts, more straighter kind of cuts. Definitely a useful tool. Now this one, I said I paid $10 for it. Probably make more money from it selling it as parts. This is Etsy. They're selling the motor there for $45. But the reality is, let me just put this out there. I'm not going to keep this. I picked it up. It was cute. I know it was one of those things you get excited about something in the moment, realize it's not something I really need. I paid $10 for it. If you're in the Southern Vegas, Boulder City, Henderson kind of area, let me know. And $10 and it's yours. Anyway, so I've been buying these scroll saws and fixing up for years here. This is one I bought about 5-6 years ago. You may have seen it on the channel previously. This is a cast iron Craftsman 24, 26-inch throat on it. It was seized up, but I doused it in some WD-40, let it sit for a week, coming in ever so often, whacking it with a rubber mallet, putting some more spray on it, and eventually broke free, totally fine. I could have been better about it. I could have gotten some evaporust or something in there and done a better job with it. This was before we actually did the restoration. This was just getting it home. And I think I paid 50 or 60 bucks for it with the motor, whole 9 yards. Ran like a top. It was cast iron construction. The thing was a beast. Here's the thing, though. You're like, but Jeff, can you really still get these? What, I pulled this up today. Local Craigslist. Look at this, $25 on this one. They want $195 on that one. Let's see here. $75, $60 on this vintage cast iron one. $40 with the base. $40 here. $100 for the Dremel. Let's see what else we got here. There's $30, another vintage one. And the great thing about the vintage ones is they're usually cast iron. They usually have a much deeper throat than you see on the modern, inexpensive ones that you'll find at like Harbor Freight. I've had the Harbor Freight scroll saw. It works okay. There's another Craftsman that's down in Needles there. $40 on that. $50 on this one. For some reason, you can still get these great vintage scroll saws that are much beefier machine than what you can buy today. I mean, there's some great ones out there, but $350 on this Excalibur. And then over here on Facebook Marketplace, look at all these. We got $65, $135. That's a bit high. There's a Dremel for $100. There's a Craftsman scroll saw, $75 on that one. There's a ton of these things out there, and I'm just astounded at the $50 over here of these old vintage ones. $100 with the table. There's $250 on that one. I think I'll pass on that. But I mean, some people do, they think they're worth a ton of money. But honestly, there's so many of these things out there. $50 on these vintage with a nice cast iron table, deep throat. I don't know why, but if you're looking for a scroll saw, and I think every shop should have one, it makes sense to go and look for a vintage one. Now, if you have a specific need, you're like, I'm doing this professionally, I need super fine detail, blah, blah. I get it. You're going to buy one that fits the exact need that you have. But for the general shop kind of purpose, something like this should be just fine for those of you out there. Anyway, again, I always love finding vintage tools like this, made in American tools, made in America, and seeing what you can do with them. It's a great little hobby kind of level tool. I can understand why it didn't become a big thing. It's a very niche kind of market. But anyway, if you want one, I know where you can get one. Anyway, you all take care. God bless. And as always, shine on.